Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to be learning how to do pin curls. So this is a super popular method of curling your hair back in I think the 40s. I know the 50s it was popular. This is probably the most requested thing on my TikTok. Probably the most commented thing, oh my god, how do you do your hair? Show us how you do your hair. So this is just one of the many methods you can use. This is the one I use the most. It's authentic, it's heatless. It's really easy. You kind of, just like a crock pot, you set it and forget it. So let's get started. So the one thing that you really need to do pin curls is pins, hence the name. So here's my little box of bobby pins. You're going to need a lot of pins, okay? Sometimes people use little clips, sometimes people use alligator clips, whatever you want to do, but I am going to show you guys how to do it with bobby pins. Also optional is hairspray if you want it to last a little bit longer, and I also use a silk scarf, which I will explain once we get there. Also, of course, you're going to need a brush or a comb. So let's get started with that. So I'm just going to take a comb, and sorry, I know I'm going to be looking up here a lot. You guys are actually sitting on my vanity right now, so I'm going to be looking up here. You're just going to part your hair. I part my hair down the center just because it's easier for me. But I just do it the same way every time because it's safe, I do it the same way every time and then nothing goes wrong. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So just make sure this is nice and brushed through. This is what's called a wet set, meaning obviously your hair is wet, which, like I said, is really good because it's heatless. That's another reason why I do like this method, is because I'm not putting heat in my hair and damaging it. Because when I got my hair cut, this is actually the easiest method for short hair because my hair wasn't long enough to be put onto rollers. So next off, I'm going to take a small section of hair. The bigger you make it, the harder it's going to be to curl. So I mean, literally just small section. Even this is a little big, but that's okay. So you can just see, again, small section, okay? Going from the part. I kind of work in layers. Next off, we are going to take 2 fingers, basically put it at the base of the head, and wrap the hair around. If it's still a little short, you can just hold it with your thumb. Doesn't matter. Okay? And then it kind of looks like a victory roll right now, but we're just going to turn it and slide it off of your fingers, okay? I can't lift my hands right now, but basically it looks like a little swirl on my head. You want it to be flat on your head, as flat as possible. Next step is to take your, I just dropped it, take your bobby pin, and I just put the initial bobby pin just going directly over it like that, okay? This one does look a little loose, but that's okay. So just as, this is just to really keep it down. I'm going to take a second bobby pin and kind of make an X. If you make an X with your pins, it stays, okay? So this is kind of what it should look like. Like I said, this is a little loose, but you can also use literally as many pins as you want. Ideally, there should be 2 because you don't want to use up all of your bobby pins, but if you have bobby pins to spare, you can use as many as you like. So I'm just gonna go ahead and basically pin this until I feel good about it. Yep, that looks good. This is the root of my hair, so that's not going anywhere. Like you can see, it's not moving. So this looks fine. And basically, we're going to do this literally all the way around. Like I said, I go in layers, so I do everything that's at the root first, and then we're gonna start our way down here, and then down here, and then at the base of the neck. So I'll show you one more time. So again, it's gonna take a small section. Be careful when using a comb not to ruin your previous section or catch hair from your previous section. It happens sometimes, it's not a big deal. This is a little big. I'm just gonna take some down, okay? There, very small section. 2 fingers. Sometimes you can use 3 fingers, 2 fingers, does not matter, to be very honest with you. We're just gonna brush it out anyways. So we're just gonna wrap it around the fingers like that. No fancy way, just wrap it. Okay, and we're going to slide it off of our fingers and hold it down immediately. and hold it there while you pin it, or at least put the first pin in. Whatever angle works best for you, just get the pin on. To be honest with you, you can always add more, take away, whatever. Take a second one. It's gonna carefully, I actually don't have my glasses on, so I really can't see what I'm doing, but I can feel. Okay, I'm just gonna make an X, and then see, it's locked in. I might take one and just add it right there. It looks like it might come out. If the pin comes out, don't worry. If your hair is still wet, which it should be, then you can just redo it. You know, it might be a little annoying sometimes, but you can always just redo it, okay? So cool, that's the second one. They're not going to be pretty. I'm not gonna lie to you, they're not gonna be pretty. You're probably gonna look at it and be like, well, it doesn't look like a perfect little circle, or it looks like it's coming undone. As long as it feels like it's not coming undone, you're okay. So I'm going to basically do this, at least for the first layer, or the first, like, around the root, and then I will teach you guys how to do the rest. Okay, so this is what it should look like now. I just did this top layer, and again, I just want to remind you, it's not going to look perfect, and that's okay. It's not always going to be perfect, but if it really does bother you, can always take it out and redo it. The sooner you take it out and fix it instead of like halfway through, the better. Another couple of things, like I said, if it's not perfect, it's fine, because you're literally brushing it out. So it's not going to look perfect, and that's okay. You can always add a little bit of hairspray on each section of hair if you'd like. Your hair's wet, so it's probably not gonna hold the hairspray that well. If it makes you feel better, you could. If your hair's wet, maybe you can add a little bit of gel or pomade. Completely optional. Like I said, I've never done it before. I do pomade like at the end. But all this to say, this is what the first layer looks like. While I'm doing the second layer, I'm going to talk about some common questions that people ask me. So some things that people ask me, does it hurt? No, it does not hurt. Sometimes there's a little bit of discomfort if like you didn't do it right and there's a pin that's like stuck on your head. Yeah, that can get uncomfortable, but it doesn't hurt. Like I said, I will literally have my curls in, my pin curls in for sometimes hours, you know, which leads me to the next question. How long should you leave the curls in? I leave them in at least overnight. You want them to be as dry as possible, because if there is an ounce of water in your hair, it will not curl and it will fall. Like as soon as you take it out of the curl, it's gonna fall flat just like that. You don't want that. Overnight is a good bet. I used to do my curls at 7 p.m. every night, and then I'd probably take them out around 6, which is about 12 hours. Sometimes I actually leave them in for 24 hours or longer. Just if I have like an event and I know like the next day I can't focus on my hair, I need to like do errands, get my nails done or whatever, I don't have to worry about it because my hair is just set. And I've also gotten, relating to that, I've gotten a question like, if you leave it in, doesn't your hair get like greasy and gross? No. Because you're not doing much with your hair, you're not like exposing your hair to like outside elements, and you're not touching your hair a lot, you're not like tossing your hair and getting it oily. No, it doesn't get very oily very fast. It will eventually if you leave it in for more than 24 hours, but that's how hair works, depending on your hair type, depending on a lot of things. Some other questions I've gotten is, does this work with long hair? Probably not. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not sure. I do it with short hair, or like this, I guess if you want to consider this like medium hair. My hair used to be about this length, just above shoulders. Obviously now it's at my collarbones, so that's, and even then the sections are a little big. They're getting a little big. So it's almost time for me to start transitioning over to heated rollers, which I hate. So I might get my hair cut soon. I don't know. You can try it with long hair, but I really don't think it's gonna work, at least to the same effect. Some of these sections that I put are a little big. I probably shouldn't have done them that big. And like I said, the bigger they are, the harder it is to curl. And because it's more hair, and more hair takes more time to dry. Because I'm actually not even gonna be taking my hair out until tomorrow morning. What time is it now? It's like 1:05 in the afternoon. And I'm not gonna be taking it out until maybe 9, 10 a.m. So really it's going to be okay. And another question I've got quite frequently is, what do you do if one falls out in your sleep? And I will tell you all about what happens if the curls fall out when we get there. So I'm going to finish up this layer, just like the second layer you already saw. I started down here, and I'll get back to you when I'm done that. Okay, so the second layer is done, and basically all we have to do left is just this down here, like at the base of the neck. So one more thing I just wanted to mention, you can always hit it with a little bit of hairspray because you are kind of on a time constraint. The more dry your hair is, the less curly it's gonna get, because this is a wet set, meaning it is dependent on your hair being wet. If it's not wet or is just a little bit wet, you can always just hit it with some hairspray, but we're also going to put some hairspray on it after we're done, okay? So another thing about doing the hair, like the super thin hair down here, I actually just use one finger to curl it because the sections are already going to be extra small, basically. Okay, so I mean, I can do this basically while I'm talking to you guys. So what we're going to do next after this, if you don't have a scarf of any kind, no worries. You can just stop right here and wait for it to dry. Or you can put some hairspray on it like I mentioned, or you can wrap it up in a silk scarf. And I keep saying silk and not just scarf because silk is going to help you. It's going to help with your frizz. Just make sure that your hair stays not frizzy. And also having a scarf can help keep it together during the night if you're sleeping in it. And if a curl falls out in your sleep, if you're wearing a scarf, it will stay, which is just an extra bonus. If you're not wearing a scarf and something falls out in your sleep, if you wake up in the middle of the night, don't worry about it. Hairspray the section heavily and then recurl it. Hopefully it'll still have a little bit of dampness to it. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. It might not be as curly the next morning, but hopefully you can hide it because you're gonna brush it all out anyways. If you don't have a silk scarf, you can use literally any bandana. This is just a regular cloth bandana, you can use that. Or you can use chiffon, which I actually find very helpful because it's still breathable. So it helps actually air your hair out faster. Let me see if I can find, here's the one that I always use. You can see it's like silk or some sort of satin or basically any sort of soft material like that. If you don't have a scarf, if you have a silk pillowcase, that will work the exact same. I mean, if one falls out, then it's not gonna catch it, but it will help keep your frizz down. So I'm just gonna finish up the rest of these. Another question I forgot to kind of mention earlier that I get often is, how do you see what you're doing? And the answer is I don't. I've been doing it for a while now, so fortunately I've got the experience. But especially when it comes to like the back of your head, you can't see what you're doing. You're really gonna have to kind of rely on your sense of feeling. It's not hard, it's really not hard. But like with anything, you just have to practice. I mean, even I make mistakes sometimes, everyone makes mistakes, it's okay. I mean, just make sure, feel around, make sure there's nothing loose. And my advice is, if you're like going out or something like that and you need to do your hair and your nails and your lipstick or your makeup in general, do your hair first. Do your hair and wait for it to dry, so that way while your hair is up, you can do your nails and everything, because I've tried to do this multiple times with wet nails and it just doesn't work. You can see sometimes I have trouble opening up the bobby pins, so I have to use my teeth, but I also use my nails to open it. If your nails are wet, it's just not, it's going to ruin your manicure. So this is the last one. Just make sure it's a nice little X. Okay. Just feel around one more time, make sure that nothing is sticking out. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's not, does not matter, but just make sure that there's no severely loose curls, nothing that will make you uncomfortable, no pins sticking out, no hair that's like not in a thing, you know, little things like this in your hair, it's fine. Like I said, if it really bothers you that badly, you can just fix it. So this is what my hair looks like up close. I'll show you guys kind of like my whole head if I can try, but this is basically what it looks like As you get towards the back, it gets a little messy because you can't see. And the ones down at the base of your neck sometimes will come out, or at least get a little more loose, and that's okay. Because it's not only is at the base of your neck, it's at the back of your head, so no one's gonna see it. So this is this side. My lighting is not as good on this side, but this is the same thing all around, okay? So that's what that looks like. Now we are going to just shoot it with a little bit of hairspray. Now that my hair is a little more dry, it should kind of help. If you want, like I said, you can do every little section, but that's a lot of hairspray. It's a lot of time. This takes me about half hour to do total, maybe. I mean, and that's with no distractions. That's like on a regular day. So yeah, we're just gonna put a little bit of hairspray on this, and then we'll wrap it up, and that's actually gonna be it. You don't need a ton, just enough to lightly cover. Especially the back, I think. I mean, the front always curls more than the back, in my opinion, from what I found. Like the hair here, like these two, maybe like these three always curl the best, and then everything else is just, will do its own thing. And that's the thing, it's really, I hate saying this because it's a meme, but it's really hit or miss. I guess I need to this. All right. I mean, just like with dealing with any sort of hair, it kind of does what it wants. It does its own thing. That's why I don't change up what I do, because it's safe. This is safe. Middle part, this is safe. Now is a time where I'm gonna put on my scarf. So I fold long ways in a triangle. So it should be super long, okay? And I'm going to, wait, I haven't done this in a minute. Oh, okay, I remember now, okay. So I'm gonna put the triangle, the tip of the triangle, let me show you guys again, sorry. The bottom tip of the triangle here is going to be sitting at the top of my head, okay? So I just wanna make sure going down that it is covering the entire bottom of my head. I don't want any hair or pins to be poking out. I can feel it on my neck, so I think I'm good. I'm just going to basically take it around to the front of my head and just tie it. You don't want to tie it too tight. I mean, tight is fine because you don't want it coming undone, and if any pins come out, you don't want them coming undone. So I'm just gonna tie it like medium tight, because sometimes if you tie it too tight, see where that knot is? Sometimes it will literally like bruise your forehead or leave like a dent in your forehead next morning, and that's not what you want. That's ugly, to be honest, and it doesn't go away after a while. So I'm just gonna make sure that everything is pulled nice and taut. I'm just gonna make sure all my hair is tucked underneath the scarf. Just feeling around in the back. Like I said, the back is the most like problematic area, because, you know, when you like knot or when you do anything with your head, it's going to shift where the scarf is. Okay, so that's sitting perfectly. Make sure that this is pulled up as far as I can get it. We want as much coverage as possible. Obviously, like sorry, I don't know if you guys can see. Obviously, like this part is going to be uncovered. It really depends on the size of your bandana. When I use my cloth ones, it actually reaches, it basically fits perfectly and comes all the way up here. When I use the chiffon ones, it actually ends up being a little longer. Depends. So basically, I'm actually going to take one of these pins, not a bobby pin. You can use a bobby pin if you'd like, but this I find secures it a little more, because I don't want this just sitting there flopping around. I want it nice and taut. So I'm just going to pin this to my head. You can always use multiple pins to do this part. You know, you have a whole bunch of pins left over supposedly. So at this point, it doesn't matter how many pins you use, just make sure it's secure. All right. And I promise you, tomorrow morning when you're taking it out, you're gonna forget they're there. And then you're gonna try pulling off your scarf, and then it's gonna pull it on your head. Happens to me every time. All right. So this step is also optional. Like I said, really the only thing you need to know is how to do the pin curls. If you guys have any like extra questions, I actually don't feel like I'm a good teacher, but if you guys have any extra questions, I could always make like a part 2 or more like in-depth video, because this is kind of like the general how I do the pin curls, how I put on the scarf. This is very general. So if you guys have any questions, I could always give a more in-depth version. Anyways, so this, like I said, this step's also optional. These are very long bobby pins as compared to something like this. It's very long, you can see. These were actually used for nurse costume caps that I bought. They came with the hats, that way like it blended in with the nurse hat, but like it wouldn't fall off your head because it sat like on the back of your head. You know how nurse hats are. Anyways, I'm going to take these and I'm going to put one here, so just behind my ears. And if you're wondering like if I can hear because this is covered, I can still hear. The hearing is a little more muffled, but I can still hear perfectly fine. If you're wondering why I didn't just tuck it behind my ears, it's because that is ugly. It's hideous. So I just have it all under. And plus it's actually more comfortable this way. So I'm just going to put the pins in. And the reason why I'm doing this is just for added security, just to make sure that I really want to make sure that the back of the scarf is staying in place and it's not moving around, because the more the back of the scarf moves around, the more likely something's going to come undone, especially at like the nape of the neck or whatever it's called. I don't want those pins coming out, rubbing off, the hair being like frizzy and gross. So I'm going to put it behind my ear again, making sure it's secure and not just kind of there. I'm also just going to put one straight up the center or the back. So I'm going to turn around for this part. It's easier if you look down. Great. So there we go. Those are just 3 that I have to keep on there. Make sure it's nice and secure. Like I said, some hair is always going to stick out. That's, you really don't freak out about it. Don't focus on it, because I promise you, if you start focusing on it and you're like, oh my god, it's gonna drive you insane. I promise you. Like, just let it go, you know? All right, so that is actually the end of it. I will see you guys tomorrow, my time. Basically, I'm just gonna sleep in this tonight. I'm gonna go all day wearing this, sleeping in it. It's a little embarrassing when you go to stores, but it is what it is, you know? Don't worry about what people think, because they're not gonna see the final product, which is gonna look amazing. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning, my time.